Hey everyone, my name is Jamie Lee. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Now today we're back with another Get Ready With Me. A lot of stuff has happened in the world, especially in the US. I guess in the world in general, a lot has happened in the past couple of weeks. A lot of stuff I wanted to talk about. My birthday also happened over the past couple of weeks. I wanted to very quickly touch on a bunch of different things, but before we get to any of like the fun, lighthearted stuff, I wanted to talk about the Charlie Kirk thing, and I wanted to make my opinion on the situation crystal clear. If you're somebody that's watched this channel for a while, I don't think that you'll be surprised by what I have to say, but you never know, and I just want to make sure that how I feel is like really out there and everybody understands where I'm coming from. Now, I did already wash my face. I also used some of this like the cleansing water to just like get any extra dirt off, but other than that, we're just going to do our makeup and we're going to, I think I showed this last time, but I got this during the last Prime Day sale. It's just like a little under eye roller. It feels incredibly good. Very like cooling. I feel like it just helps depuff my under eyes a little bit, especially first thing in the morning. I feel like it feels amazing, and it is like 7 a.m. for me right now. I'm also going to use a little bit of this toner. Before we get specifically into my feelings on Charlie Kirk, I think it's really important to understand where I sit politically. And first off, obviously I live in Canada. I do not live in the US. However, the US is like our biggest trading partner. Maybe it won't be going forward, but it has historically been our biggest trading partner. I've obviously been to the US many times in our lives. Like, we share a gigantic land border, so people usually kind of freely flow between the two countries to visit each other, whatever. I have family that live in the US or have lived in the US in the past. Like, generally speaking, I know a lot about what's going on in the US. I also watch a lot of political content from both sides to try and get like a little bit more information about what's going on with everything. So I have seen a decent amount of stuff from Charlie Kirk that like he's posted, or clips that other people have posted, or him debating people, what have you. I've seen a decent amount of his stuff. As you can probably imagine, if you've seen any of my previous political takes, I am a leftist. Like, much further than the US Democrat Party goes. Like, I'm much further left than that. In Canada, I believe that the Democratic Party would be considered center-right. Like, it's not very left-leaning compared to a lot of the politics we have up here. And like, Canada just tends to be a more left-leaning country. We have a lot more socialism. I would consider myself like a staunch believer in like having a lot of social safety nets. So I am just much more left-leaning than most people in the US, but especially than people who follow or watch Charlie Kirk, of course. Now, the day that the shooting happened, I was actually outside doing a bunch of painting. So thankfully, I didn't hear about the news until like 3 or 4 hours later. Thank God, because that meant that I basically was opening my phone for the first time after a lot of the video had already been scrubbed from the internet. So I have not seen the video. I've seen a lot of coverage about what specifically happened. My sister accidentally saw it when she didn't want to. She described it to me in great detail. So I understand what happened. I've seen all of the updates with the shooter. Is he a leftist? Is he a right-wing groiper? What is he? Whatever. I'm not going to get into speculating about that necessarily. I think what I take issue with in this entire situation is the people who are basically saying like, you have to mourn him. You have to feel sad. If you don't, you're a monster. And when I turned on my phone like that first day, I was very surprised to see quite a few different people that I follow, not necessarily that I know personally, like more so celebrities and stuff, or like fitness influencers that I followed back in the heyday of like when I was a humongous gym girly, all basically saying the same thing. Something along the lines of like, yeah, everybody should feel bad about this. He had kids. He had a wife. A lot of people saying his kids were there. I don't know if that's true actually, because I haven't seen any proof of them actually being there. If it is, that's very terrible. Regardless, obviously, I feel bad for his wife and kids, especially for his kids. Anybody should probably feel bad. However, I cannot say with any truth in my heart that it was surprising to me, that it was shocking to me, or that I felt sad about him dying. Like, I'm not going to mourn his passing, if that makes sense. Now, obviously, I live in Canada. We occasionally have gun violence here, not even remotely to the extent that it happens in the US. When I see a shooting, a mass shooting, just somebody getting shot in the street, an assassination, anything like this in the US, I am not even remotely surprised. I'm sad, I'm frustrated, but I can't bring myself to be surprised. I think when it comes to somebody like Charlie Kirk, like obviously he was a very divisive political figure. So there are certainly some people who were just like on the left who are like, haha, I'm glad he died, whatever. But I think that there are way more people who are on the left or center or even on the right who are saying, why would I like mourn somebody who was okay with this exact thing happening to other people? I'm sure at this point we've all seen his quotes recirculating about how unfortunately in a country with a well-armed civilian militia and like gun rights, some deaths are always going to happen. It's impossible to like ever get rid of them 100%, and that some deaths are okay in order to keep Second Amendment rights. He wanted people to be able to have guns. He did not want more regulation on guns. And therefore, the fact that he himself was a victim to gun violence, while maybe sad for his family and friends, is not surprising. I know that there are so many people who say things about like guns don't kill people, people kill people. Absolutely, you are correct. It is a hell of a lot easier to kill people with a gun than it is with your bare hands or with a knife, or with anything else that you would otherwise have at your disposal, with a hammer. And of course, there are people who are deranged and who are going to go try and take people's lives. Absolutely. There are people like that everywhere in the world at every point in history. There are bad people. It is much easier for those people to kill someone from far away or to kill 10 plus people in a crowd-based attack with a gun than it would be with a knife. I guess I don't understand why, if you live somewhere with so many guns and it's so dangerous and people are always talking about mass shootings and there's literally kids being gunned down at school, why you wouldn't want more gun reform. To me, it is asinine. I know that there will be people who so dearly disagree with me and that in the US this is a very contentious issue. I will truly never understand it. Because to me, no gun deaths are acceptable. Every single one of them is bad and sad. And while saying that, I can still acknowledge that I am not sad that Charlie Kirk passed away, because he is somebody that advocated for gun deaths being inevitable. They have to happen so that we can all still enjoy our guns. And that to me is just absolutely crazy and unacceptable. So I just couldn't disagree more. Now, do I think political assassinations are correct? No. I think that they're bad. I think that killing people in general is bad and should be frowned upon. But I also definitely think that trying to convince people that Charlie Kirk has ruthlessly attacked over the years, such as Black women. He's constantly talking about how they're all like stupid idiots, not as smart as white men. He always says that like women should just do whatever their husband want. They should be in the home. They shouldn't be working. Telling the people that he is always attacking and saying are less than, telling them that they need to mourn him is fucked up. In my opinion. I think that it's super weird. I also think it has been fascinating to see the response from white people who have never commented on anything else political ever. I got rid of pretty much anybody that was a Trump supporter that came out as like publicly as a Trump supporter on my Instagram, because I'm just simply not interested in hearing what they have to say. And once again, this was not people that I know personally, because I just don't associate with people like that. This was people like a fitness influencer, like a celebrity, probably a minor celebrity, who likely never posted a single time about Trump when he was running, but very likely voted for him, that were now posting like loudly and proudly about Charlie Kirk. They've never said anything about any social or political movement at any point on the internet. But this was the thing that like set them over the edge. I find that very suspect. If you don't care about anything, but now one white guy dies, one white guy who believed very strongly in the Second Amendment and that, you know, people should watch live executions. Gun deaths are worth it so that we can have more guns and like less regulation over our guns. That's the guy that they're like, oh my God, this is a travesty. This is an attack on our beliefs. Like, is Is that just because you see yourself in him, because you're both white? Is it because you're both like very right-leaning? What is it? I think it's super weird that you care more about that than children getting gunned down in schools. But he was a father and a husband, and those were like actual kids. I'm sorry, I care more about the kids than this one guy who spread hateful rhetoric everywhere. Anyways, in general, I would say my overall opinion here is I don't mourn him. I don't agree with anything he's ever said. In fact, I think he was a piece of shit. That also doesn't mean that I think that it was justified or that shootings are ever okay. I think the shooter was very likely an extremist of some kind as well. Whether left-wing or right-wing, I don't think that it matters. I think he was radicalized by online meme culture, which is a danger, especially to young boys right now. In fact, I don't think I've ever talked about this on the internet. Very relevant to this topic. When my husband was a kid, he used to play an online game called Shadowbane. It's like an MMO. If you don't know what that is, it's like WoW, like World of Warcraft, where there's a bunch of different people. You're all playing online. So you're playing with like real people running around. You can join guilds. So like a group with other people. You can all work towards the same objectives. And Shadowbane was a PvP game. So there are monsters that you're killing, but you're also fighting other people, other guilds. Now he played that when he was a kid, but he kept in contact with the people that were like the guild leaders or like higher up in the guilds that he played with at that time. A couple of years ago, there was a game that came out called Crowfall that a bunch of the old Shadowbane people were going to play. Now I am actually a pretty big gamer. I love playing video games. I always have since I was a kid, and I'm quite good at them. He said, hey, do you want to play this game? I have this guild already. It's all people that I used to play with. It should be fun. And I was like, sure, whatever. So I met the leader of the guild. I asked him what character would be most useful for me to play. Started playing it a couple days before the game launched, got very good at it. And I would do a lot of like dueling other people in the guild, practicing, like trying to make sure that if I'm gonna play this game and it's like a team game, that I'm not gonna let down the team, right? Like, makes sense. When I was talking to the guild leader, there were two of them. When I was talking to them prior to the game going live, it was just like a small core team of us who were all practicing, wanted to make sure we were all real, good and ready to go before the game went live, because it was still technically in like beta, like pre-launch. They were completely normal, nice guys. We had a lot to talk about. They were fun to talk to. They talked to me a lot. As soon as this game went live, obviously there were a lot more people who were part of this guild who had like played at different points in like beta and alpha before it launched. Once all of those guys came in, everybody in the guild, but in particular the two leadership guys, immediately flipped and were like douchey Republican. Now this was in maybe 2021, summer of 2021. The election wasn't actively happening or anything. I just remember them all being so unbelievably hateful. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, what happened to like the cute older men that I was talking to a couple of weeks ago that seemed completely rational and normal? Now they're constantly calling people the F word for gay men. They're constantly like just saying these like stupid, ridiculous, hateful things. Everything ended up imploding. I was part of like a core group of guys that my husband was actually like closer friends with. All of us, that whole group, all left and started playing something else together because, I mean, I was just over it. I had multiple guys in the guild trying to like dox me. I had just people being generally hateful because I was a woman, which once again was not a problem in the beginning. So it was very shocking. And like, as an example, we had a whole guild tournament where it was like a PvP tournament. Everybody had to fight against each other in a bracket. I came third, my husband came second, and the one guy who ended up beating me came first. Like, I was very good at this game. And yet, it would never be good enough for some people because I was a woman and because they all were just like very hateful. So when we left, I remember talking to my husband and being like, what was this like when you were a kid? Like, this couldn't possibly have been a good influence on you. And he admits now, like, clearly it wasn't. Like, they were always kind of hateful. The guild always had this thing where they hated the Chinese. Like, that was one of their big things. And he remembers like meeting people when he went to university that were from China and being like, oh, I don't know why we like hated people from China. China so much in this guild. Like, he had to unlearn a lot of these like really toxic, masculine gamer things. And I want to be clear, like, they said some truly horrible things, including a guy named Horrible who was, I believe, a Navy doctor. Like, he was a doctor in some part of the US Army who would come onto this game and constantly drop the N-word as a white guy, say that N-words deserve to get hung, like all kinds of very intensely messed up things. So obviously I was like, I'm not sticking around for this. All of these guys are complete assholes. I would never associate with these people. And our entire group left because of that. So all of that very long anecdote there. I guess my overall point here is if you have kids, especially young boys, because for some reason they seem to get sucked into this way worse, monitor what they're doing online. Monitor who they're talking to, because like my husband was playing this game in the middle of the night every night in high school with a whole bunch of like 40-year-old plus men who had like really, really racist, misogynistic, sexist ideologies, super homophobic. And like luckily he knew enough people in real life that were able to be like, hey, none of those things are okay. But not everybody has that, and I think not every parent catches it. So just be cautious. And once again, I want to be clear, I am a gamer. I love games. I love playing online games, meeting new people that way. I think it's super fun. Unfortunately, there is a dark side to gaming that is leading to a lot of people being radicalized. And I think it's just important to know that and not write it off as like, oh, that would never happen to me. That would never happen to my kids. It absolutely can. Now, obviously that was a lot. Very political. And I don't know if I've ever actually told anybody the story of being in this guild for this Crowfall game. So it's kind of nice to get that off my chest, I'm not gonna lie. I would be interested to see if any of those guys watch this video. If you were from Crowfall, comment, because I know some of you follow me. Now on a very deeply unrelated note, my birthday was a couple of weeks ago, and I got a gift that I wasn't sure how I would feel about it, which was a Kindle. My sister and my parents like kind of grouped together to get it for me. So it's this cute little mint green one. They also got me a little case. My sister got me some stickers to put on it as well. I didn't know how I would like this. I made a short video about this, but I just wanted to say it in here as well. This is amazing. I really, really like it. I thought maybe I wouldn't like it as much as a regular paper book, but I really enjoy it. I read a lot in bed, and a lot of times my husband like goes to sleep before I do. So it's been kind of nice to have something that we can just turn all the lights off, but I can still read this and like it still looks lit up to me. I find it doesn't hurt my eyes as much as like trying to read something on my phone. And the real thing that I read on this is fan fiction. If you're not familiar with fan fiction, that's a whole other rabbit hole. Essentially works that people write who are fans of like a TV show or a video game or a movie or another book, really anything. You can write about it, publish it on here. You don't like make money from it or anything, but other people can read it. They can like favorite it, comment on it, whatever. So this is all on Archive of Our Own, colloquially referred to as AO3. And maybe this should be very embarrassing, but I am like a humongous Destiel shipper, which is Supernatural. Cass and Dean. I have been in love with Supernatural. Like I started watching it when it first came out. Watched it all through university, was absolutely in love with it. I literally have a quilt on my bed that my mom made me that says "Lay your weary head to rest" from Carry On My Wayward Son, which is featured in the show a lot. But I read a lot of fan fiction, some very explicit smutty, some just cute romantic, depends what I'm in the mood for. But it has been so nice reading it on this compared to on my phone, which is crazy because like they look almost the same size. This has that like ink display, e-ink display, and it just looks so much better on the eyes. So I have it in dark mode, but I don't know how well you can see that. It just looks really, really good. A lot less blinding, less glare. I can read this like in the middle of the night if I wake up like in bed or whatever, and I actually find that it helps me fall back asleep versus screwing around on my phone, which never does. So I've really enjoyed having it. I do recommend them. if you're somebody that reads a lot. Also, if you're somebody that travels a lot. Like my husband travels quite a lot for work. I actually think that he would love to have one too, because it saves your place automatically. It's one tiny thing that you're bringing instead of having a ton of like books if you need to bring like 2 or 3 books with you on a trip. Because I'm a very fast reader. If I'm going away for a week, I will probably read 3 books while I'm gone. Now I can just load them onto the Kindle, read all 3, have a couple extra if I want to read more. Very, very nice. If you're a big reader, I do recommend it. And I'm somebody that loves a physical book. Like I have a ginormous floor to ceiling bookcase that is completely jam-packed with so many books that there is not space for more. Like I'm stacking them on top now. And I think that this is going to help save me from that a little bit. But I will still personally be buying hard copies of like my favorite books or books from my favorite authors. But I'll just also probably read them on Kindle. Which I know doesn't make a lot of sense. But there's something nice about having like the physical book. Now my hair today, I did not do overnight curls. I actually just got my hair cut a couple days ago, and this was my first time washing it last night since it's been cut. So I just wanted to see like how it dried naturally with nothing in it. And I think that it looks pretty cute. So what I usually do if I just am like letting my hair naturally dry, the next morning, I'll spray a little bit of this Kerastase. It's like a curl refresh spray, and it smells absolutely divine. So typically I spray a little bit into my hands, a couple of sprays, rub it in, and then I'll just kind of scrunch this up in my hair. You can also spray it on your hair directly, which I usually do if I'm trying to like do a refresh on the whole head. I'll spray a little bit of water, then some of that spray, and then kind of scrunch it. But for today, it actually looks pretty good. It's really just the bottoms that look a little not so curled, probably because I was sleeping on them. And then as that spray dries, I do find that it kind of just helps redefine a couple of those curls. And once again, it also smells absolutely divine, which is always a bonus. Of course, we need some of the Vanilla Skin by Fleur. This stuff smells so good. I also smelled the Beach Skin one, and that one smelled very good as well. Reminded me slightly of Hawaiian Tropic sunscreen, but in perfume form, which I love that smell. I love the smell of that sunscreen. I think that it smells amazing. So I would love to get it someday. I feel like I should wait until next summer because like, when am I gonna wear that over the winter? Now, last thing that I feel like we should very quickly talk about is the garden. So veggie garden, we're still pulling stuff off, obviously not as much. Somehow this year we ended up with so many bell peppers, more than I ever would have thought was possible. Every other year, we usually get a couple, maybe 2 or 3 peppers. They're usually pretty small. This year we have these giant honking ones, and we have a bunch that are actually ripening to red, which usually we have to pick them all green because we're like, we're never gonna get to eat any peppers if we don't pick them now. This year we have so many. We started them inside earlier this year, which I think helped a lot. I think we started them like early February. We also added a lot of compost and fertilizer to the garden this year, which I think did help. And then we have quite a lot of tomatoes that are kind of just coming off now. We had a bizarre summer in Ontario where it was so hot, so sunny, and then it would pour rain for like 4 or 5 days. I think we planted our tomato plants too close together. So the leaves end up like, say this is a tomato and this is a leaf, the leaves end up sitting on top of the tomatoes and like sagging down because it's so wet from like these crazy thunderstorms. And when you have something wet sitting on the skin of a tomato, it causes it to essentially just start rotting, blighting, splitting open. So a lot of our bigger tomatoes did not turn out so well, but we also planted San Marzanos and cherry tomatoes. Both of those did great. We're constantly harvesting like giant baskets of them. Our apple trees are down to 1 apple. We had 4 on there. 2 immediately died off. 1 fell off a couple of days ago and we ate it and it was fine. It wasn't quite ripe, like it was still a little bit sour, but it was good. The other one probably will pick in the next couple of weeks and eat it, and hopefully it's good as well. We got a lot of cucumbers this year, a tiny bit of corn, not a lot. We've never been good at growing corn, and every single one of our pumpkins died. All the plants died. They stopped producing female flowers almost immediately. I think because it was so hot, we really need to get some kind of like shade or something to put on them in the middle of the day if we're gonna try and really grow a pumpkin, because it's just simply too hot for them to exist here when we're getting these like randomly 40-degree days for weeks in a row, 40 degrees Celsius with like full 100% sun. Like it was just very, very rough. And then of course we had weeks of everything was just cloud and smog from all the wildfires. Bit of a rough summer. And I don't know about you, but I'm really looking forward to fall, Halloween. Right now it's still 30 degrees outside here. We had to actually turn our AC back on yesterday because it was just so hot. And I work in this back room, like this pink thing back here is on top of my computer. Like my desk is kind of right beside that. All behind you is all windows and there's multiple skylights. So I get way too hot. I'm just like sitting in here sweating, and I walk on a treadmill while I'm working. So I'm like actually literally sweating to death. So we finally put the AC back on. Fingers crossed that it gets to like slightly more seasonal weather. Like I don't want it to get cold right away, but I would love some like 10 to 15 degree weather before we just immediately get snow. Because the past few years we seem to just get hot and then freezing cold. We don't get like normal fall. And I'm really hoping for some normal fall this year. Also, I will be going to a Ren Faire for the first time the last weekend in September. So if you have any tips, tricks, anything that I should expect, let me know. I've always wanted to go to one. I feel like it'll be really fun. We're going with my best friend and like her kids and her brother. I have a full outfit, not that was purchased necessarily for this. It's a bunch of like individual things that I'm kind of just gonna put together. I have a dress that's technically a dirndl that I bought for an Oktoberfest themed beer bus that I'm going on this weekend. I thought it was going to be shorter, like knee length, and it's actually almost floor length. I'm still gonna wear it for a beer bus, but I think with like a little blouse underneath it, it'll be perfect for Ren Faire as well. I do have some elf ears that I'm going to wear as well, and like a little flower crown. And then I'm hoping I can maybe buy some jewelry or something at Ren Faire. I'm not sure what kinds of stuff they sell, but I figure why fully accessorize if I'm going somewhere that might sell some of these accessories? Like it might be more fun to get stuff from people who are working there. But let me know if that is not accurate. I'm not sure. Like I said, I've never been to one, but I'm very interested in it because I love all things fantasy, all things nerdy. I feel like I'll fit right in. And with that, I feel like I have been yapping for a very long time now. Definitely let me know your thoughts on everything we discussed today, how you felt about Charlie Kirk, how people in your life responded. I would love to know your thoughts on guns, on gun violence, especially if you live in the US. Because I do think that while in Canada, like left-wing people generally are like staunchly anti-gun, like we do not want them here, we want strong regulations. I feel like in the US it's not quite so divided by party lines, like people across the spectrum are okay with guns, like it's more of a cultural thing. So let me know your thoughts, and maybe like, you don't have to say specifically, but if you're interested in saying where you lie on the political spectrum and like how you feel about guns, I would be interested. Also, if you have a Kindle, let me know. What are some of the books that you've read on it? How do you like it? Do you read fan fiction? If you read fan fiction, I would love to know some of your favorites. And with that, thank you so much for watching this video today. I hope that you have a fabulous day and that I'll see you next time. Bye.